Why Sigma males are done with modern society. There's a subtle yet profound shift happening. It's not a loud rebellion but a quiet, resolute departure. For the Sigma male, the modern world, with its relentless demands for conformity and its hollow promises of fulfillment, has become increasingly untenable. This isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about a deep, unwavering commitment to self-sovereignty and an innate understanding that true strength comes from within, not from external validation. We are witnessing a quiet reclamation of power, a collective declaration by men who have looked at the societal script and decided to author their own. This isn't just about rejecting what is. It's about defining what must be for a life of integrity, purpose, and unshakable peace. 1. The Authenticity Imperative. Modern society runs on performance, a constant masquerade where genuine expression is often sacrificed for fleeting acceptance. Social media demands curated personas, presenting an idealized, often false, version of self for public consumption. Workplaces, too, often reward conformity, encouraging individuals to suppress their true thoughts and opinions in favor of agreeable narratives. Even social circles can become stages where interactions are scripted, designed to maintain superficial harmony rather than foster genuine connection. For the Sigma, this constant acting is not merely tiresome. It's profoundly soul-crushing, a direct assault on his very being. He fundamentally refuses to wear masks or parrot opinions simply to gain acceptance or avoid conflict. His core value isn't popularity or fitting in. It's uncompromising authenticity, a deep commitment to living in alignment with his inner truth, regardless of external pressures. He understands that sacrificing his genuine self for the approval of others is a form of self-betrayal, a concession that erodes his personal integrity. He would unequivocally rather stand alone in his truth, even if it means facing misunderstanding or isolation, than stand celebrated in a lie, a fabricated existence built on pretense. The relentless pressure to perform, to constantly adjust his demeanor and opinions to suit external expectations, isn't just exhausting. It's an insidious insult to his fundamental nature, a demand to be something he is not. This constant dissonance between his inner world and the outer demands of society creates an unbearable tension. Consequently, he chooses to walk away from the charade. For him, silence often becomes his most eloquent truth, a refusal to engage in conversations that lack substance or honesty. Solitude, far from being a burden, becomes his sanctuary, a sacred space where he can shed all pretense and simply be. In this solitude, he finds the clarity and peace that the performance-driven world actively denies him, reinforcing his resolve to live by his own unwavering code. 2. The Digital Detox Mandate. The information age, while promising connection and knowledge, has paradoxically become a weaponized distraction, a constant assault on our focus and peace of mind. Algorithms are expertly designed to feed rage and division, amplifying extremist views and creating echo chambers that reinforce existing biases. Headlines are carefully crafted to manufacture panic and anxiety, keeping individuals in a constant state of low-grade fear. Social media platforms, in their relentless pursuit of engagement, trade our precious attention for anxiety, fueling a cycle of comparison, envy, and manufactured outrage. The Sigma sees through this manipulation with an almost inherent clarity. He recognizes the insidious dopamine traps, the engineered outrage that hijacks rational thought, and the gradual yet pervasive erosion of critical thinking skills. He is not merely a passive consumer of digital content. He is an astute observer of its effects. Consequently, he doesn't doom scroll endlessly, falling victim to the design chaos. Instead, he digitally disconnects with deliberate intent, asserting control over his mental environment. For the Sigma, his mind is sovereign territory, a sacred space to be protected from external pollution and noise. He curates knowledge deliberately, much like a meticulous scholar, seeking depth over the superficiality of trending topics and genuine wisdom over fleeting virality. He understands that true understanding requires focused attention and quiet contemplation, qualities antithetical to the always-on, always-connected digital realm. His engagement with the digital world is strategic and purposeful, not reactive or compulsive. Turning off the endless feed of notifications, updates, and manufactured crises isn't an act of avoidance or Luddism. It's a profound act of intellectual self-preservation, a conscious choice to prioritize mental clarity over constant stimulation. He values a quiet mind, a space for deep thought and introspection, far more than he values having a trending opinion or being perpetually in the loop. His digital detachment is a declaration of independence, a commitment to his own cognitive autonomy in a world desperate to capture his attention. 3. The Relationship Purge. In the modern landscape, connection often feels fundamentally transactional, driven by utility rather than genuine human warmth. Networking for professional gain, socializing for status elevation, and bonding over shared outrage are common examples of how relationships become instrumental rather than intrinsically valuable. These interactions, while serving a purpose, often lack the depth and authenticity that the Sigma craves. He sees through the facade of superficial camaraderie, recognizing that many connections are merely convenient rather than meaningful. The Sigma craves profound resonance, a deep, authentic connection forged in shared values and mutual understanding, not shallow rapport built on common interests or fleeting trends. He fundamentally rejects the circus of gossip, recognizing it as a waste of precious time and energy, a toxic activity that erodes trust and fosters negativity. He recoils from the tyranny of small talk, finding it an empty ritual that provides no substance or genuine exchange of ideas. And perhaps most importantly, he actively avoids the emotional vampirism of draining interactions, recognizing those who seek to consume his energy without offering anything in return. Consequently, he invests his time and energy only in bonds forged in mutual respect, where each individual acknowledges and honors the other's autonomy and worth. He seeks intellectual honesty, valuing partners in conversation who are willing to engage with ideas critically and openly, without resorting to dogma or emotional manipulation. And he demands unwavering loyalty, understanding that true connection is built on a foundation of trust and steadfastness. These are the pillars of his relationships, non-negotiable qualities he seeks in his inner circle. Finding this kind of depth and authenticity in a world obsessed with surface-level interactions and fleeting connections is incredibly rare, almost like searching for a hidden gem in a vast, superficial landscape. So, he often chooses solitude, not out of misanthropy or a disdain for humanity, but out of a fierce respect for his own energy and the sacredness of genuine connection. He understands that a few profound bonds are infinitely more valuable than a multitude of shallow acquaintances, and he will patiently wait and sometimes walk alone, until those genuine connections present themselves. 4. The Status Game Exit. Society relentlessly screams that worth is measured by external metrics. Impressive job titles, overflowing bank balances, an ever-growing collection of possessions and inflated follower counts on social media. This constant barrage of messaging creates a pervasive pressure to engage in a never-ending pursuit of these symbols, often at the expense of genuine well-being and inner peace. The world dictates that these are the markers of success, the only paths to respect and recognition. The Sigma hears this societal noise, this clamor for external validation, and instinctively walks the other way, a silent rebellion against a system he finds fundamentally flawed. He understands with an almost intuitive clarity that true value is intrinsic, residing not in what he owns or what others perceive him to be, but in who he is at his core. His worth isn't leased from external validation, a precarious status dependent on the whims of others. It's built on a bedrock of inner integrity, cultivated skills, and deeply lived principles that guide his every action. For the Sigma, chasing hollow status symbols feels like running endlessly on a hamster wheel, a meaningless and exhausting pursuit designed by fools who themselves are trapped by superficiality. He sees the emptiness behind the polished exteriors and the anxious desperation driving the relentless climb up the societal ladder. He opts out of this charade, choosing a path defined by self-ownership and genuine fulfillment rather than external acclaim. His success, therefore, is defined by metrics invisible to the status-obsessed crowd, profound autonomy over his life choices, a deep and unshakable peace of mind, and the freedom that his deliberate choices afford him. These are the true currencies of his life, far more valuable than any fleeting recognition or material accumulation. He finds contentment in self-direction, inner quietude, and the liberty to live authentically, completely unburdened by the need to impress anyone. 5. The Consumption Rebellion. Materialism is often presented as a pathway to happiness, a means to elevate one's life and display success. However, for the Sigma, it's far more than just shallow. It's a meticulously crafted cage, a gilded prison that traps individuals in an endless cycle of desire and dependence. The relentless cycle of earn, buy, and upgrade breeds not contentment, but a pervasive sense of inadequacy and anxiety, as one is constantly chasing the next acquisition. The Sigma sees through the seductive lies propagated by advertising and the consumer machine with a piercing clarity. He understands that true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulating more things, but from exercising control over his desires and his environment. He practices intentional minimalism, not out of poverty or deprivation, but as a deliberate philosophical choice. This isn't about owning nothing. It's about owning only what genuinely serves him, what adds true value to his life, rather than what is designed to impress or signify status to others. For him, true luxury is not the acquisition of expensive objects. It is the profound control over his own time, the freedom to allocate his most precious resource as he sees fit, unbound by the demands of a consumer-driven lifestyle. It is also the liberation from debt, the insidious chains that bind so many to jobs they despise and lives they don't truly want. He prioritizes experiences that enrich his soul over objects that merely gather dust, cultivating skills that empower him over gadgets that quickly become obsolete. Most importantly, he values peace of mind, an inner tranquility that is incompatible with the constant craving for more, over the fleeting hollow high of a new purchase. His rebellion against consumption is a quiet but profound refusal to be a mere cog in the insatiable consumer machine. It is a declaration of self-ownership, a choice to define his own values and live by them, rather than being dictated by the manufactured desires of the market. That feeling in your chest right now? That resonance? It's confirmation. You recognize the dissonance because you live it. You're watching this not for permission to walk away, but for the articulation of the resolve you've already forged. Whether you're deep in your Sigma journey or just sensing the pull away from the noise, understand this. Your desire for sovereignty isn't a flaw, it's your greatest strength. The world needs observers, truth seekers, and those who refuse the script. Keep building your inner citadel. What comes next isn't retreat, it's strategic repositioning. 6. The control paradox. Rejection. Modern life often presents itself as a carefully constructed web of imposed structures, designed for efficiency and societal harmony. From rigid work schedules that dictate one's entire day to societal expectations that prescribe life milestones, marry by this age, own a house by that age, have children by another, the world can feel like a predetermined path. While some may view these as safety nets offering stability and guidance, the Sigma experiences them fundamentally not as support, but as straitjackets on his autonomy, constricting his ability to live on his own terms. He fundamentally rejects the premise that external systems, whether they be corporate hierarchies, governmental regulations, or popular opinion, inherently know better than his own judgment and intuition. This isn't a call for anarchy or chaos. Rather, it is a deep-seated commitment to self-governance, a belief that he is the ultimate authority over his own life. He trusts his internal compass more than any external map provided by society, understanding that true wisdom often comes from within. Consequently, he actively designs his own rhythms, setting his own internal clock rather than blindly adhering to external schedules. He defines his own goals, driven by intrinsic motivation and personal purpose rather than chasing externally imposed benchmarks of success. And crucially, he defines his own responsibilities, accepting only those commitments that align with his values and contribute to his well-being, rather than succumbing to every demand placed upon him. His life is an intentional creation, not a default acceptance. He will follow a rule or conform to a norm if it aligns with his own logic, if it makes sense to his rational mind and serves a greater purpose that he understands and agrees with. However, he will never do so simply because that's just how it's done, or because it is the prevailing expectation. His life is not dictated by tradition or popular decree. It is self-authored, a testament to his unwavering commitment to live by his own principles, even if it means charting a course that diverges from the well-trodden path. 7. Sacred solitude. Society, in its incessant chatter and relentless drive for connection, often pathologizes being alone, equating it directly with loneliness, a state to be avoided at all costs. The prevailing narrative suggests that happiness lies in constant social engagement, that a full life is one filled with bustling crowds and endless interactions. However, the Sigma knows better. He possesses a profound understanding that challenges this conventional wisdom. For the Sigma, solitude is not a void to be filled, but a superpower, a profound wellspring of strength and clarity. It is in the quiet spaces, away from the clamor of external demands and opinions, that clarity is hammered out, where fragmented thoughts coalesce into coherent understanding. It is where intuition sharpens, becoming a more reliable guide than any external advice. And crucially, it is where the self is truly known, stripped of the personas adopted for social interaction, revealing the authentic core of his being. He doesn't fear quiet or stillness. On the contrary, he actively cultivates it, creating deliberate opportunities to retreat into his own mind. While others desperately drown out their thoughts with constant noise, endless entertainment, non-stop conversations, the cacophony of modern life, he purposefully dives deep into his own mind, exploring its landscapes without distraction. This intentional isolation is not isolationism, a rejection of humanity. Rather, it is the essential recharge for a consciousness perpetually overloaded by a chaotic and demanding world. He protects his solitude fiercely, guarding it as a most precious resource, because he understands it is the undeniable source of his strength, his creativity, and his inner peace. It is in these moments of profound quietude that he reorients himself, processes the complexities of the world, and emerges with renewed purpose and resilience. For the Sigma, solitude is not an escape from life, but an essential engagement with it on his own terms. 8. The truth seeker's burden. In an era saturated with spin, pervasive propaganda, and the unsettling rise of alternative facts, the Sigma carries a relentless, almost visceral drive for unvarnished reality. He possesses an innate need to peel back the layers of deception and distortion to uncover the fundamental truth beneath. He instinctively distrusts narratives spoon-fed by institutions, whether they be governmental, corporate, or academic, recognizing that every narrative serves an agenda. He is equally wary of media pronouncements and the often unthinking consensus of loud crowds, knowing that popular opinion is rarely synonymous with accuracy. Instead, he diligently digs for information, cross-references sources with meticulous care, and engages in rigorous critical thinking, refusing to accept anything at face value. He forms his conclusions based on empirical evidence, logical deduction, and rational analysis, rather than succumbing to emotional appeals, tribal loyalties, or the siren call of popularity. This profound commitment to truth, however, often comes with a significant cost. This relentless pursuit of reality is often isolating, as it frequently leads him to conclusions that diverge from the mainstream or challenge comfortable assumptions. Speaking uncomfortable truths or simply refusing to echo falsehoods and convenient narratives marks him as difficult, contrarian, or even subversive in a world that prefers palatable fictions. He becomes an outlier, often misunderstood and sometimes actively ostracized for his intellectual honesty. Yet he accepts this burden with quiet resolve. For the Sigma, living in alignment with his perception of truth is non-negotiable, a fundamental principle that guides his entire existence. He would rather endure the discomfort of standing alone in truth than the psychological agony of conforming to a lie. His integrity is his compass, and he follows it unflinchingly, even when it means navigating a path of solitude and facing the disapproval of others. 9. The Self-Sufficiency Imperative. In a world increasingly reliant on complex, often fragile systems, the Sigma recognizes a fundamental truth: dependence is vulnerability. To be reliant on external forces for one's basic needs or even one's emotional well-being is to forfeit a degree of control over one's own destiny. Consequently, the Sigma actively builds personal sovereignty through the deliberate acquisition of tangible skills and the cultivation of profound inner resilience. He understands that true freedom stems from the ability to stand on his own 2 feet. He makes a conscious effort to learn how to fix things that are broken, to build what is needed, to grow his own food where possible, and to think critically to solve complex problems. He cultivates the ability to heal himself, both physically and mentally, through self-care and disciplined practices. And he strives to provide for himself and his chosen few, wherever and whenever possible, minimizing his reliance on external systems. This isn't some form of prepper paranoia or an extreme retreat from society, it's a profoundly pragmatic and stoic approach to life. By developing these capabilities, he significantly reduces his reliance on fragile external systems, be they precarious supply chains that can easily break, demanding employers who dictate his livelihood, or ever-changing governmental policies that can impact his security. He also minimizes his dependence on draining relationships, ensuring that his connections are born of choice and mutual benefit, not out of a desperate need for support. This strategic reduction of external dependencies grants him an unparalleled sense of freedom and a deep, abiding peace of mind. His ultimate goal isn't total isolation from the world, it's the empowering knowledge that he chooses connection, rather than needing it for survival. He cultivates a deep well of self-reliance so that his relationships are authentic expressions of shared values and genuine camaraderie, entered into from a position of strength and independence. This profound self-sufficiency ensures that his life is lived on his own terms, unburdened by the vulnerabilities that plague those who depend solely on external support. 10. The Value Famine. Sigma males operate on a distinct moral and ethical currency, a different system of what truly holds worth. They inherently value depth over superficiality, integrity over expediency, and true craftsmanship over mass-produced mediocrity. They appreciate quiet competence, the mastery of a skill honed over time, and genuine wisdom, forged through experience and introspection. These are the qualities they respect and aspire to embody, the silent markers of true distinction. Modern society, however, often celebrates the inverse of these values. It leonizes superficiality, prioritizing image over substance, and rewards relentless self-promotion, even if it's based on little more than bluster. Instant fame, often achieved through controversy or triviality, is elevated above earned respect, and loud mediocrity frequently overshadows quiet excellence. The heroes celebrated often seem hollow, their achievements fleeting and their impact lacking genuine substance. Consequently, the Sigma experiences a profound disconnect in fundamental values, a jarring realization that the world around him operates on a system he neither understands nor respects. The rewards offered by this society, be it public acclaim, material excess, or social status, feel inherently meaningless to him, devoid of any true value. He looks at the heroes and influencers held aloft by the masses and finds them lacking, their achievements seeming shallow and their impact negligible in the grand scheme of things. Why, then, should he bother to play a game where the very prizes hold no intrinsic value for him? Why engage in a competition where success is defined by metrics he rejects? He walks away from this game not because he lacks the ability to win by societal standards, not because he is incapable of navigating its complexities. He walks away because the game itself is bankrupt, its values misaligned with his own profound sense of purpose and integrity. His withdrawal is a testament to his unwavering commitment to his own internal compass, even if it means forging a path distinct from the rest of the world. 11. The quiet reclamation of time. The modern world, with its relentless pace and pervasive digital intrusions, has become a relentless thief of time, fragmenting attention and eroding personal autonomy. Notifications constantly ping, demanding immediate responses and pulling focus away from deep work. Endless demands from work, social circles, and external pressures create a perpetual state of urgency, making it feel impossible to simply be. Meaningless obligations and commitments fill schedules, often without truly contributing to one's well-being or purpose. The Sigma, recognizing time as his most precious, non-renewable resource, wages a silent but fierce war for chronological sovereignty. He understands that every hour squandered on trivialities or external demands is an hour stolen from his true purpose and inner peace. He ruthlessly guards his time, treating it with a reverence that borders on sacred. This isn't about being unproductive, it's about being profoundly intentional with every moment. He systematically rejects busy work that serves no real purpose, seeing it as an insidious form of time theft. Pointless meetings, often designed to justify existence rather than achieve results, are rigorously avoided or streamlined. Draining social obligations, those interactions that deplete rather than replenish his energy, are politely but firmly declined. And he actively resists the tyranny of the urgent, refusing to be constantly pulled into manufactured crises or others' priorities. Every yes to society's noise, every acquiescence to external demands, is understood as a profound no to his own purpose, his own deep work, and his own desired state of being. He meticulously structures his life around periods of deep, focused work where he can truly create and contribute. He prioritizes meaningful pursuits that align with his values, rather than chasing fleeting trends. And crucially, he carves out ample time for restorative stillness, moments of quiet reflection and introspection that are essential for mental clarity and emotional resilience. His ultimate rebellion against the modern world is this quiet, unwavering act of owning his hours completely, defining his days on his own terms, and living a life that is truly self-authored. And so, as we conclude this journey into the Sigma male's definitive departure from modern society, remember this: your inherent desire for authenticity, for truth, for self-sovereignty, it is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength. It is the compass guiding you to a life of profound meaning and unwavering integrity. Don't just observe the world, truly see it. Don't just exist within its confines, define your own. This isn't about isolation, it's about intentional living. It's about choosing purpose over pretense and peace over popular opinion. If these insights resonated deep within you, if you felt that undeniable spark of recognition, then you are not alone on this path. This is your Sigma male community, a sanctuary for those who dare to forge their own way. Like this video if you're done with the noise, comment below with your own silent rebellion, share this wisdom with others who might be seeking their own exit. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another dose of unfiltered truth and practical guidance. Your journey of self-mastery is just beginning, and we're here to walk it with you.